You have sex readily available for you whenever. Yet men are not marrying women.
It's for the reason you just said. It's because men have access to sex without needing a commitment. That's when you see it happening, when women are offering free sex without commitments. You look at virginity and marriage in the 60s, they're both about equal. There were shotgun weddings in this time. You were expected as a man that if you got a woman pregnant or you was laying down with a woman, that you better stay with that woman.
Okay, let's do this. Let's say it's a religious man who doesn't even believe that abortion should happen. And it's a religious woman that also doesn't believe that abortion. Let's use that situation. In that situation where abortion's not going to happen, now what?
Somebody brought up the fact that there was a religious couple, and so they're against abortion. Well, if you're religious enough, you already shouldn't be sleeping without marriage in the first place. So you wouldn't have to worry about that. Not only that, but what we have to understand in this situation is that women bear the grunt of what happens when you get pregnant. That's why it's your responsibility. You're the one that's going to, statistically speaking, become a single mother. You're the one that's going to have the hardships left behind if you have a child out of wedlock. And a lot of people like to talk about the patriarchy as being a bad thing, but historically speaking, sex has been dangerous. You know what I mean? Like syphilis swept all throughout Europe and killed hundreds, tens of millions of people in Europe. So it's always been dangerous. Now with modern technology, we're moving into a situation where women have more openness and women have more options. So women are allowing that to happen. But sex is a very dangerous activity that we're just acting all liberal with now as if it's not dangerous. The truth of the matter is, and it's pretty extreme, but women have to stop trying to sleep with men that don't want to take care of their kids. I think part of this problem comes with women earning more money. When women earn more money, they no longer want average men because they want men that make equal to or more than them. When you make $60K as a woman, now you want a man that makes equal to or more than you. That is an above average man. And men that are above average tend to not be committed as often. So what you have to do as a woman is make sure you secure a ring before you're even doing that in the first place. And if you're not going to do that, don't jump all the way to the extreme example of abortion. Let's talk about all the options in between. Get yourself on birth control. Stop allowing yourself to have kids before you get married, because you as a woman bear the grunt of all of what happens behind that. Now, when we have these social welfare programs, and I don't think it's a surprise that as soon as the social welfare programs were boosted in the 60s, this is when you see women start to have more children out of wedlock. It's because you have nothing to lose as a woman if you have children out of wedlock. And we like to act like this doesn't happen, but a lot of women will sleep with men that they know are out of their league. And when that man says, I don't want to have a child, that woman will carry that child to term because she thinks that that's going to make that man stay. And largely it doesn't when you're dealing with these types of men. That is your responsibility as a woman. That's your gift. That's your gift to a man. You can't just be liberal with that. Now, I don't even think you should be giving the coochie away, but let's just be completely honest. People go and sleep with each other. That's why I say birth control is the best option. People going to do that.
Casual sex happens.
I think that they should, probably not. But that's just the truth of the matter. That's going to happen in 2021. So at least make sure we're on some kind of birth control so we're not having kids out of wedlock. Make sure you get married before you have kids, especially if you're a woman, because you're the one that's going to deal with what comes with that. That's just nature. And that's the part when we talk about this, are we equal versus same type thing? I already talked to you about we are equal, but not the same. And that's the 2 + 2 = 4, but 3 + 1 also equals 4. We can be equal, but not the same. And we're not the same. Nature has a thing called pregnancy. And when we talk about sex, the burden is on women when you talk about sex. It just is because nature has pregnancy. What'd you say?
Right. Women have to child.
Right. Women have to do all the.
Yes. So if you understand that women bear the grunt of the burden or the most of that burden, then you should also understand that that's the reason by and large, that women have most of the contraceptives. That's the reason why most of it is targeted towards women. It's so that women can have the option to not give birth. So if you have so many options as a woman because you bear that grunt, and that's been brought by the patriarchy, by the way. These are all things that have been created. The birth control bill, all this stuff has been created for options for women to be sexually liberal. So you have that right now. You have the ability to do that. But now you got to be responsible. You got to be responsible with that. And so, with all these welfare programs and women not really having to be as responsible, because worst case scenario, that man is going to be forced to take care of that child via child support in some kind of way. So a lot of these women are. It's just.
How do you feel politically though when it
wanna,
comes to the
I don't wanna
community
beat
voting?
the dead
Because
horse,
I don't
but
think it's
y'all
just
get it.
one.
You don't want to what?
I don't want to beat the dead horse, but I'm hoping y'all get what I'm saying right
No,
now.
Trey,
well,
you made
address it.
100%.
I understand.
Address the
Trey,
community though.
hold on, y'all.
Address the
Trey,
community,
you
PMP.
made okay,
sorry.
so hold on.
I'm sorry.
Trey, you made absolute sense. Everything you're saying, I feel like you were absolutely correct.
You guys bring up birth control and these plan Bs and all these things. These things are toxic to the female reproductive system, and women have been having issues with the female, especially Black women in the female reproductive system over the last 25, 30 years because of all these things that they're doing to try to prevent pregnancy and whatever it is, and because the brunt of it is still only on women, and men aren't taking any responsibility.
Well, I think it's very interesting, especially since like literally like a week ago, the last show we was on, we were talking about obesity. And when we talk about things that are destructive to Black women, all the time we're talking about something important like birth control, but we never talking about obesity. That's also very destructive to African-American women, but we don't talk about that. That's running rampant in our community. So when we talk about Plan Bs and trying to be responsible sexually, that's when the idea of, oh, that's destructive to our bodies comes up, but we don't talk about overeating. But that's not even here nor there. Let's just go to another.
Well,
I think largely women have forgotten what men are. And I don't know where that disconnect happened, but they have what men do. And because now we're in a society where we live to 70 years old, but y'all have to understand for most of human history, we died at 30 years old. You were old. You were an elder at 40 years old. We weren't on the planet for a long time as men. So reproduction happened quick. As men, we're sexual opportunists. And I think that's what a lot of women have forgotten. As men, we are developed to not only build societies for the convenience of women and children, but to also spread our seed while we're on earth. We don't have very many opportunities, or historically speaking, when women were disciplined with sex, we didn't have very many sexual opportunities. So largely our bodies have developed to not be as sexually disciplined as we should be in the modern era. And I think a lot of people forget what men are by nature, right? So when women were holding back on sex, your job as a woman, your responsibility is to not allow men to just be having sex with you. That's your responsibility. Your responsibility is to decide the next generation of society builders. That is your burden to society. A man's burden is to spread his seed while he's on earth, if he can, if he adds enough value by building and developing societies to help women and children. And a woman's burden to that society is to choose the correct men to be the next generation of society builders. That's what your burden is. So when we're talking about, oh, men have to be more sexually disciplined, that is not what a man is by nature. Now, should we try to change that and have more discipline in the modern era to combat what's going on? Yes, but we all have to understand, a lot of women understand hormones when we're talking about periods. A lot of women can become very, oh, I understand you may be emotional now because you're on your period, but there's another hormone called testosterone. That's what men have. And that is that's nothing that we can't do anything about that. That comes out of our body naturally, and that makes us more sexually urgent. And I think that that's a natural thing because we didn't live to 70 years old. You had to get it while you was here. And if you a woman and you just giving it out to every man, understand that there's a reason why you can call every man in your phone and he gonna sleep with you. He's willing to do it. It's because that's what we naturally are. That's what we are as a being. So what women have to do is to be more disciplined in that area. Now, like I say again, men should practice more discipline in the modern era. I agree with you, but understand naturally men aren't created to be as disciplined as women when it comes.
I disagree with you.
I don't agree with that either. I think men
I'm so sorry, and I'm on your side.
They are the disciplinarians. I don't know what it is that you're saying that men are created to be disciplined. That is just that's blasphemous.
Kayla, I'm talking about specifically sexually.
Well, if that all of this responsibility is on the women because heavy is the head that wears the crown. Just say that women are the leaders then. Like
the female in any mammal is always designed to be more selective because, like I said earlier, and that's why I started it there, because women bear they hold the burden when it comes to pregnancy. That's why you have to be more sexually selective. That's why when I talk about nature, I say men aren't designed to be as disciplined when it comes specifically to sex. Y'all talking about all this leadership stuff. We have built a society. What more do you want? We do everything for y'all. We literally give y'all anything y'all want. All y'all have to do is choose the right men to build to be the next generation. That's all y'all responsibility. That's y'all responsibility to society.
But
right?
men, so
that's
Trey, do you
giving your
really
power
think
away.
Are men marrying women? Because that brings it back to my original point: is
Yeah.
that men
Kayla,
that
Why
want
is that
sex
not happening?
get a
Why
wife
is that not
you
okay,
can have
Kayla,
sex
listen,
with.
I'm
You
answering
have sex readily available for you whenever. Yet men are not marrying women, and women are 70% of Black women
Kayla,
are unmarried.
Kayla, it's for the reason you just said. It's because men have access to sex without needing a commitment. If y'all are out giving men, and the only time that started to happen, that's a very modern thing. You see single motherhood skyrocket the same time you see the burden of sexuality being taken away.
Yes,
When you
that's
see
correct.
more implements of disease, preventative diseases, when you see more implements of the birth control pill, that's when you see it happening. When women are offering free sex without commitments. You look at virginity and marriage in the 60s, they're both about equal. As soon as women are less likely, or as soon as women start giving it up, men stop committing. There were shotgun weddings in this time. You were expected as a man that if you got a woman pregnant or you was laying down with a woman, that you better stay with that woman, right? But now when we in this matriarchal thing where we're trying to do free sex and women should be as free and liberated, the only problem with that is nature does not agree with that concept. It just doesn't. So you got a
So
lot of
are
women
both
running.
not true, Trey?
And
What'd
then
you say?
Imran,
Are
you're going to
both
fuck
not
it up
true?
with.
Are both
Yes,
not
because our
true?
battery almost dying, so I just want to say this quick.
Women need to be more selective and only be, and men need to, are they both not true? Or is only one gonna fix the problem?
If women are selective and if women are giving the box to men that they marry, we don't have the problem.
Oh,
if you give away free sex,
so
you're not going to
men
get a
just
man to
not being
commit with
disciplined
you.
and just being out here with women. That's what?
Women will be
My boo, I'm just here for the rendezvous. And I came the whole damn crew, cause I've been feeling like you want me to. You say stop saying I'm like, so what? I can't help myself when I pull up.